Imagine two nations once bound by oil, weapons, and a shared enemy, the Soviet Union. They traded billions in arms, shared intelligence, and stood together in the Cold War. But in just decades, that alliance crumbled into sanctions, assassinations, and now open war. As of March 2026, the US and Iran are locked in direct conflict, with strikes killing hundreds, including Iran's supreme leader. How did we get here? This is the untold story of US-Iran relations. From friends to FOs. 45-2, 30 early relations and alliance. Sepia photos of 19th century diplomats, oil rigs in Iran, Shah Pahlavi shaking hands with US presidents, upbeat historical music. The story begins long before the headlines. Diplomatic ties between the US and Persia. Modern Iran started in 1856, but they were distant, mostly missionaries and trade. Things heated up in the 20th century with oil. In 1908, Britain discovered massive oil reserves in Iran, and by World War II, the US saw Iran as a strategic gem. During Iran was a key supply route for the Allies against Nazi Germany. US troops helped guard it, and President Franklin Roosevelt met Iran's Shah Reza Pahlavi. Post-war, the Cold War made Iran vital, bordering the USSR. It was a buffer against communism. The turning point, 1953, Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh nationalized oil, angering British and American companies. Fearing a communist tilt, the CIA and MI6 orchestrated Operation Ajax, a coup that ousted Mossadegh and installed young Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi as absolute ruler. The Shah became America's man in the Middle East. From the 1950s to 1970s, the alliance boomed. The US poured in $1 billion in aid, built Iran's military with F-14 jets and tanks, and trained its secret police, Savak. In return, Iran provided cheap oil and a pro-Western stance. Nixon called Iran our closest ally in the region. By 1978, US arms sales to Iran hit $2.5 billion yearly. It was a golden era of sorts, but beneath the surface, resentment brewed. Iranians saw the Shah as a US puppet, corrupt and repressive. The revolution and hostage crisis. Dramatic shift. Footage of protests, burning US flags, Khomeini arriving in Tehran, tense music, quick cuts. Then, 1979 shattered everything. Massive protests erupted against the Shah's regime, fueled by inequality, repression, and anti-Western anger. In January, the Shah fled. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini returned from exile, declaring an Islamic Republic. He branded the US the Great Satan for backing the Shah. For 4 days of crisis, they demanded the Shah's extradition from the US, where he was getting cancer treatment. President Jimmy Carter froze Iranian assets and cut ties. A failed rescue mission in April 1980 killed 8 US troops. The crisis lasted 444 days, ending just after Ronald Reagan's inauguration in 1981. But the damage was done. Iran was now enemy number one. Khomeini consolidated power, exporting revolution through groups like Hezbollah. The 1980s deepened the rift. Iran-Iraq War 1980-1988. Saddam Hussein invaded Iran, and the US tilted toward Iraq, providing intelligence, loans, and even chemical weapon precursors. Text. US support for Iraq. Meanwhile, the Iran-Contra scandal. Reagan secretly sold arms to Iran to fund Nicaraguan rebels, exposing hypocrisy. By the 1990s, under Bill Clinton, dual containment policy isolated both Iran and Iraq with sanctions. Iran sponsored attacks on US interests, like the 1983 Beirut bombing, 241 US Marines killed, blamed on Iranian-backed Hezbollah, and 1996 Cobra Towers, 19 US airmen dead. Nuclear era and escalation. Modern footage. Nuclear centrifuges, Bush speech, protests, building tension music. Enter the 2000s. Nuclear fears. In 2002, George W. Bush labeled Iran part of the axis of evil, accusing it of pursuing weapons of mass destruction. IAEA reports revealed secret uranium enrichment. Iran claimed it was for peaceful energy. The West saw bomb threat. US invasions of Afghanistan 2001 and Iraq 2003 surrounded Iran, but also empowered Shia allies there. Iran-backed militias attacking US troops, killing hundreds via roadside bombs. Barack Obama tried diplomacy. In 2015, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action (JCPOA) was signed. Iran limited its nuclear program. The US lifted sanctions, releasing $100 billion in frozen assets. Text: Nuclear Deal 2015. It was a thaw but fragile. Donald Trump torched it in 2018, withdrawing and imposing maximum pressure sanctions. Iran's economy tanked, leading to protests. In 2020, Trump ordered the drone strike, killing Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad, calling him a terrorist mastermind. Iran retaliated with missiles on its bases in Iraq, injuring troops but avoiding deaths. Joe Biden sought to revive JCPOA in 2021, but talks stalled amid Iran's uranium enrichment to near weapons grade 60 by 2023. Proxy wars raged. Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen attacked US ships. Militias in Iraq and Syria targeted US bases. By 2025, tensions boiled over. Failed Vienna talks, Iran's missile advances, and the Israel-Hamas war exposed Iran's vulnerabilities. Iran enriched uranium to 90 bomb level, defying IAEA. In February 2026, the US and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury, airstrikes on nuclear sites, military bases, and leadership targets. Supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in Tehran. Text: Khamenei killed February 2026. Hundreds died in Iran. The regime called for genocide. Iran retaliated. Missiles hit US bases in the Gulf, killing 6 service members. Houthis blockaded the Strait of Hormuz, spiking oil prices. Proxies attacked Israel and US allies. As of March 2026, a fragile ceasefire holds, but Iran's Guardian Council rules. Amid mourning and unrest, protests rock Tehran. Some call for regime change. The US justifies strikes as preventing a nuclear Iran. Critics call it escalation. Casualties: over 500 in Iran, dozens on a side. The world watches. Will this lead to full invasion or negotiation? From oil partners to nuclear adversaries, US-Iran relations show how alliances fray under power, ideology, and mistrust. In 2026, war rages, but history teaches enemies can talk or destroy each other. If this opened your eyes to hidden history, like and subscribe for more. Comment: could the US and Iran ever ally again?